The 2023-24 Detroit Pistons. An absolute abomination of a travesty, a disgrace to all NBA teams, so terrible, pathetically awful, everything absolutely blows, a master putting on losing shows, 0 wins the month of November, a team nobody remembers. James Demisman, Marvin No Bagley, getting minutes, certified bust, reached their limits. 24 straight L's, single digit wins at this rate. Let's get this straight. Cade Cunningham overhyped out of Oklahoma State. Absolutely no direction, no identity, despicable basketball. It's one thing to tank for a year or two, but the constant losing, it's getting unbearable at this point. This is by far the lowest point this franchise ever reached, an absolute embarrassment, even worse than the hinky Sixers tanking squad. This team actually trying to win games. Since 2020, pathetic records, no more than 23 wins each of the last 4 seasons. Enough is enough already. Their only goal this season, get to 10 wins and avoid being the worst team in an 82-game season. Monty's $78 million Williams finessed the hell out of this franchise. In less than 2 years, go from 64 wins, undefeated November, to 20 plus losses in a row. Maybe not even 6 plus 4 equals 10 wins. His lineups and favoritism of certain players evident makes Dwayne Casey look like a saint. If this team was 6-18 bad, very reasonable, but 2-25 bad, absolutely illegal. Draymond already having more ejections than Detroit winning games just under 2 months into the season. My goodness, Coach Williams already talks about having frictions with players, especially not starting Jaden Ivey, hurting everybody's eyes by starting Killian Hayes, and since signing Kevin Knock Knock, who's not there to help the team win any games. Since November 8th, team still winless with Mr. Fortnite. Troy Weaver may go down the worst GM in NBA history. Pick Killian above Therese Halliburton, trading away the OK Sadiq Bey for the atrocious James Wiseman, going 4-46 since, and Isaiah Stewart, nobody knows if he's best suited as a power forward or center, nothing more than a solid bench piece, starting every game, playing over 30 minutes, getting paid like an above average starter, to being the franchise's vocal leader. Lord have mercy. And getting rid of the scrappy championship contributor Bruce Brown for absolutely nothing. Received nothing from the Blake Griffin buyout, had the chance to get rid of Bogi Bogdanovic for a future first, but elected to keep him hostage. The only real trade value going forward, Cade Ivey, Asar Thompson, and Jalen Durham, none of them complement each other's game. Lacks floor spacing in today's NBA, only the second worst spacing Pistons team in the modern era, behind the Josh Smith Van Gundy time. Many fans rather watch those 2014 Andre Drummond and Monroe squads over this disgusting Pistons team. If Monty intentionally trying to get fired, who can blame him? Team winning 2 games after 2023 All-Star break. The problem started from last season. Cade proving not the savior, preseason having play-in aspirations, even 30 wins was a promising sign, but 0 signs of growth from 4 years back, 8 years removed from a winning season. This franchise been the bottom shelf laughingstock of the NBA last 2 decades. 8 players in today's roster selected first round, last 4 drafts. If one was to tell you back in 2021, a trio of Cade Cunningham, Marvin Bagley, and James Wiseman, elite high school prospects, all be teaming up, one might be thinking, okay, future super team. Before knowing how historically bad the former number 2 picks were, would Wiseman even be a first round pick today? Hell no. Bagley not worthy being in the lottery. At least 5 players of the 2021 class would go ahead of Cade. Impossible to develop everybody all at once. The team's only knockdown shooters spend most of their time in street clothes on the sidelines. Another failed season after this one. Could be time to blow up the entire team, hire a new GM, go through part 2 of a totally different rebuild where highly touted lottery picks gets a second or third chance on bad teams, still not moving the needle. Detroit Pistons, perfect definition of 5 years away from being 5 years away from any relevancy. A once proud franchise known as the Fort Wayne Pistons changed its city to Detroit in '57, gained a little relevancy in the '70s, led by all-stars Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. It wasn't until the 80s when the franchise drafted the transcendent floor general Isaiah Thomas in 1981 under legendary head coach Chuck Daly. A hard-working physical squad earned the reputation for extreme physical play, became known as the Bad Boys, generated lots of excitement around the world, grueling bigs of Rick Mahorn and Bill Laimbeer, John Sally, an unbreakable mindset. Known for stopping the dynasties of Bird Celtics, Magic and Kareem's Lakers, at the same time delaying the rise of Michael Jordan's Bulls, threatening the megastars of the NBA, and trying to prevent the next big star from rising, make no mistake about it, the 1989 Pistons played their hearts out, 15-2 playoff run, one of the greatest title teams ever assembled, repeated with ease the following year, establishing a strong culture, signature style of play, influence on the physical 90s, team with strong spirits that stands forever. Those bad boys would make today's Pistons cry before entering the hardwood. After Jordan's Bulls took over the NBA, Detroit went to rebuild mode, landing Duke legend Grant Hill, only to lose him in a sign and trade, but got back the undrafted and unknown Ben Wallace as a throw-in piece from Orlando, the heart and soul of the mid-2000s Pistons, having to endure empty stats near 30 points a game Jerry Stackouts. Wallace's unthinkable impact, becoming the best rebounder and shot blocker in the league, earned him Defensive Player of the Year, 50 wins in 02. Minnesota's Chauncey Billups, proven himself a good starting point guard. Wolves never made Chauncey an offer. Signed with the Pistons, 5 years, 35, absolute game changer. Stackhouse sent to the Wizards for 24-year-old Rip Hamilton. Dumars drafted Kentucky sensation Tayshaun Prince, 23rd overall. All of a sudden, Detroit earned the #1 seed, conference finals berth, falling to New Jersey. On rise to the right path, pulled off one of the best mid-season trades, landing Rasheed Wallace, forming the best defensive team in the 21st century, well-established core, no egos, the definition of a well-balanced roster, complementary skill sets, Chauncey's calm demeanor led the offense, Hamilton's off-ball movement, and beautiful jumper, second to none, combined with Sheed's post-up, able to stretch the floor, and the defense of Tayshaun, plus the two Wallaces, the best to do it at their positions. Backcourt's clutch free throw shooting made Detroit unstoppable in crunch time, just like the Pistons in '89, giving Showtime no more title hopes. The 04 Pistons with the savvy Billups destroyed an old Gary Payton, nearly repeated in 05. Chauncey led the team to 6 straight conference finals. Their chemistry even led to an All-Star game comeback in 2006. All that winning, being contenders now, felt like ages ago. Despite the controversial decisions, drafting Darko Milicic #2, if they had Melo, who knows how many titles they would have won. The brashy Larry Brown just couldn't stay at one place for a long time. Talked to the Knicks about his next job in the middle of the 05 playoffs, replaced by Flip Saunders, not the same defensive coach, led to tensions with Ben Wallace, who elected to sign with the Bulls after the 06 playoffs. The reigning Defensive Player of the Year proved irreplaceable. After getting upset by LeBron's Cavs, 2008 seemed like the team's last hopes in making a deep run. An older squad, Jason McLeod and Rodney Stuckey, after McDyess, Billups, Hamilton, and Prince, their chemistry and experience made them stand on top of the standings, only behind the Celtics after landing KG and Ray Allen. The rest of the Eastern Conference already screwed. To Detroit's credit, still the second best record, 59 wins. Their last playoff win, May 26, 2008, a 94-75 blowout on the eventual champs, a game Pistons fans might watch on VCR every now and then to cherish those old memories. Put on a respectable fight. Last 2 losses, KG sank the free throws to seal Game 5. Pistons actually up after 3 quarters Game 6, looking to force a decisive game, but Boston's star power too overwhelming. Pierce and Garnett alone outscored Detroit 20-13 in the 4th, officially ending the glorious Pistons era. Many even took them for granted. Team never ever recovered since. A proud 2000s run, regardless of what the advanced stats says about Chauncey Billups. His value to the offense and entire team, the locker room presence, can't be summed up by numbers. Think of a better version of Kyle Lowry. Even with the loss of Big Ben, Billups was the guy that held everybody together. Detroit fans at the time after 08 wanted a big move. Fueling the multiple conference finals losses, team hit their peak wasn't enough. A change of scenario might energize the team to deepen its title hopes. Everybody right now in their late 20s to early 30s, growing up watching the 2000s, can all agree and fully appreciate the Chauncey Billups Detroit era, not knowing what you got to witness till it's gone. Joe Dumars, also on the hot seat, felt the pressure, shockingly trading away his franchise point guard for the past his prime, older Allen Iverson. Most regrettable decision in team history. Painful repercussions led to bad contracts, to drafting bus on bus on bus. Over future superstars, Hamilton got extended before the Chauncey trade. AI, whose contract expiring, declined in skills, had a hard time taking on a lesser role. Head coach Michael Curry, 1 year with Detroit, so bad, went out on a hurry. An absolute travesty. The whole chemistry ruined overnight. From 6th in offensive rating to 21st, 20 fewer wins, humiliated by LeBron's Cavs, Rasheed's contract also expiring, only to pay Charlie Villanueva and Ben Gordon. Both lost motivation for basketball after getting their Benjamins, led to a 27-win season. An absolute failed rebuild, got back Big Ben, but was a shell of himself at that point, picked up Wash T-Mac for a vet minimum. Drafted Georgetown's Greg Monroe 2010, followed by Brandon Knight, later known for the NBA Memes Hall of Fame, 25 wins, 66 game season. Picked the one and only Andre Drummond, the worst player all time, labeled a franchise savior. One of their later draft picks turned out to be great, only to be traded away for the future title Bucks. 39th overall Chris Middleton, traded alongside Knight for the underwhelming Brandon Jennings. Then follows more embarrassment, gave Josh Smith $54 million, the worst fit imaginable. 2013 draft didn't help, pick Octavius Caldwell-Pope, an awful season, 29-win year, 6 years removed from his conference finals appearance. Hired Stan Van Gundy, decided to take over b-ball ops, having the no spacing front line, and the time the league started to shift. Franchise finally got rid of Josh Smith, straight up released him, collect his last NBA paycheck in 2020. Drafted Spencer Dinwiddie 2nd round, never got a chance to play much. After trading for Reggie Jackson, team looked like they had something going. After getting rid of Jennings and Ersan Ilyasova for Orlando's Tobias Harris, leading to its best season last 15 years. The one-time Post-Billups era, the team finished above 500. The lineup of Reggie, KCP, Tobias, Marcus Morris, and Drummond brought back excitement, but briefly. Dre's first All-Star and only All-NBA appearance, competed respectfully with the eventual champion Cavs, one of the most competitive first-round sweeps with brashy rookie Stanley Johnson, who never got better. Expected to take the next step thanks to the summer of bad free agent signings. Drummond's 5-year, $127 million got the benefit of the doubt, with centers being the weakest the league's ever seen. Became lazy after getting his money, just like current DeAndre Ayton. Reggie missed 30 games with knee injury, the peak of the John Lure era. Started 34 games, 37-45 record, missed the playoffs, drafted disappointing. Rookie Henry Ellenson did not help, ended up having no direction. Welcome rookie Luke Kennard, renounced the rights to KCP, leaving as an unrestricted free agent. Van Gundy wanting Avery Bradley, traded Tobias, Boban, some picks for former All-Star Clippers Blake Griffin, their most successful player post-Billups era, already hampered by a multitude of injuries, hope for the best, drafted Bruce Brown 42nd, Van Gundy later fired, welcoming the Dwayne Casey era. The front line of Blake and Drummond worked decently. Despite declining athleticism, the 29-year-old had his best all-around season. The handles, passing, and outside shooting much improved, single-handedly dragging Detroit to 500, good enough for the 8th seed. The relentless power forward carried the heavy burden, literally his last amazing season before his body completely broke down, willing to dive for loose balls and take charges. The most respectable Pistons last decade and a half, Jackson and Drummond didn't have much motivation, franchise knowing they gambled heavy betting on Blake's help, only to get destroyed by Giannis and Milwaukee, one of the most lopsided sweeps all time. Blake desperately tried to play through a knee injury, sacrificing his body, only to get run out the gym. Pistons fans knew Blake was only going to take the team so far. Most wanted him gone. The wear and tear absolutely destroyed his trade value altogether. 18 games played next season, needing another knee surgery. Drummond's laziness didn't move the needle, left the team with no direction, but to realize their center needed to go. Traded to Cleveland for a bag of chips, drafted disappointing Sekou no longer in the NBA Don Playa. GM Troy Weaver took over. 2020, of course, drafted none other than the one and only Killian Hayes, acquired empty stash Jeremy Grant, 3 years $60 million, brought out Blake, later signed by Brooklyn, got rid of Kennard for Sadim Bey before his extension, traded him for maybe the worst 2nd overall pick since Hashim Thabit. Franchise messed around, giving a chance on former lottery picks Jahlil Okafor and trading for Dennis Smith Jr. As for Bruce Brown, traded to the Nets for a player nobody's familiar with unless you follow Real Madrid. Following a 20-win campaign, landed number 1 pick Cade Cunningham, listed 6'8" in college, only 6'6" in the NBA. Due to the rise in similar style of play, drew comparisons to Luka, but Cade nowhere near even half the player Doncic is. 23 wins in his rookie season, traded for the atrocious Marvin Bagley, got rid of Jeremy Grant for future picks, drafted Jaden Ivey 5th overall after striking out on Paolo and Chet. Wasted season, Cade went down after 12 games. Team gave Wiseman a shot, Kevin Knox and Nerlens Noel. All three struck out terribly, leading to the Monty Williams era. The biggest losers of the 2023 lottery, no chance at getting Wemby, but yes to Ausar Thompson, a promising defensive guard, but no offense. Team still makes no sense, zero chemistry, no identity. Many people who just graduated college have no recollection of the Pistons winning any playoff game. Being bad forever, 2 postseason sweeps, underwhelming lottery picks, getting rid of their second rounders way too early before contributing big on title teams. Many people in their early 30s today grew up watching the Pistons as a top 5 team for many years. That was literally another lifetime ago. Most kids then didn't even get their first kiss yet until after the 08 season. Flash forward 15 years later. Many of those kids now married, having kids of their own. And Detroit, still winless in playoff basketball? The biggest laughingstock in today's NBA. Zero player development, no structure, player skill sets misused, too many traditional bigs who can't shoot, Cade lacks motor, passive, being in the worst position imaginable. Seems like the only win Pistons can get if fans just sleep through every game, having dreams of them actually winning. The misery, no end in sight, giving us 2012 Charlotte Bobcats vibes. Most of their games decided by halftime, everybody's checked out, the players want to be elsewhere, the coaching staff absolutely disgusting. Bad lineups, the communication amongst the players destroyed, still having Wiseman and Bagley together, that's the cheat code to losing every game. Only K, Ausar, and Jalen Durham, somewhat respectable. Already setting a negative culture. Owner Tom Gores, since buying the team in 2011, a 388 and 663 record, 700 losses before 400 wins most likely. Team literally can't catch a break. A lesson everybody should learn: never ever trade your finals MVP, especially if he's still in his prime, the heart and soul leader of the franchise. One bad decision leading to 16 years of either mediocre performance, stuck in no man's land, or just guys showing up to work, not caring about the results, but wanting to go home after. Being this bad with nothing to trade for, by far the worst franchise the last 15 years heading into 2024. Every Detroit Pistons fans will need your prayers. On the bright side, it's hard to imagine things getting any worse than it currently stands, much to be seen. Still 2/3 left of this season. My goodness, it's gonna be a long one. Until then, the Chauncey Billups curse remains in high effect with no solution in sight. Nothing goes right, hang on tight, there will be bright lights, an ongoing never-ending fight. One day, things will be alright. Until then, nighty night.